I'm excited to dive in a little bit about, how to create swoon-worthy social media in relation to February, month of love, and talk about how you can build that out personally, and also some tools, some tips, and we'll leave a good bit of the ending for Q&A, because I know you guys will probably have very specific, individualized questions, and I'm happy to answer those at that point. So let's dive on in. Great. So what makes social media accounts swoon-worthy, right? Authenticity, intentionality, and consistency are the three characteristics that I take away as far as, is a social media account going to be worth my looking at it comparatively to other accounts. So we're going to dive into what each of those mean, how to kind of impact that on your accounts and make that successful for you. So how to be authentic with your social media content. First and foremost, authenticity is huge. As real estate agents, we all know your personal brand is incredibly important. That's what sets you apart in the marketplace comparatively to, let's say, all the other real estate agents who are not in this room, let's say 2,000, if not in this market alone. So what's going to make someone service you versus others? So in that point, we say authenticity. So is your brand true to you? For what you're posting, does it make sense for you? Are you fun? Are you let's say a class clown? Do you want to represent that on your social media account? We'll talk about what that fine balance is, though. So not being, content pillars come into a huge play when we talk about what kind of content goes out onto your platforms. So building an authentic brand that's true to you. I'm a mom, so for my social media accounts, I very much lean into that, kind of a little bit of the mom chaos, mompreneur, entrepreneur, and that kind of builds me as like an authentic, relatable person, especially when I work with other small business owners, women specifically, is a category that I very much stick into that vertical. Credibility, it builds credibility. So NAR released in January on their report that 63.5% of buyers and sellers will look at your social media pages before they make contact. So incredibly important statistic. Being searchable on any of those platforms, it's another form of reviews too, right? So people are seeing your Google My Business reviews, or seeing your Zillow reviews, but they're also looking at your Facebook reviews. They're also looking at your profile pages, like who is this person? Are they trustworthy? Can I, trust them with this big life decision for most people? Are they credible? So having a presence that is consistent, it's clean, it's, again, authentic to your brand and your brand voice is really key when someone is balancing, okay, well, someone gave me 5 referrals for real estate agents. How am I going to pick? Which one do I go with? And that will set you apart vastly before everybody else. So things to ask yourself, brands that have an authentic view. Raise your hand if you know who Glenda Baker is. Yes. Real estate marketing mogul for sure. She has cornerstoned the market of real estate marketing and what that looks like, right? So when I ask, who has a strong brand representation in the world of real estate, she's the one that comes to mind first and foremost to me. Why did you choose this person? Because of their strong brand. Am I learning from them? Does she have an authentic presence? Absolutely. And she's gone from 0 to 100 over, let's say, the past 2 years, really. So we'll talk a little bit about video content as well and the importance of that. A lot of people ask me whether, can I just do it myself, DIY? Do I have to hire like a huge production team? She's a great example of, she started small, she worked at it, she saw the return on investment, invested, and now she's at, she films 50 videos in one day, which is, crazy. But again, that's what her brand has been built off of. So when you're thinking about your personal brand, I like to use these buckets right here. So impression. So what are people, like what's the experience that you are, providing to you, the individual, when they go to your profile pages? What's the imprint? Like what's the lasting message that they are going to take away from as they bounce to another profile, as they swipe, what is going to leave a mark in their brain to save that post, to come back to it later, to contact you later, to screenshot it later. And then the expression, so what everyone is saying about you in that marketplace as well. So as if I'm on Social Mortgage's page, I'm on it for, let's say 30 to 60 seconds. I bounce off. I know exactly who they are, what they serve, how they can help me very easily because they've built that out into their profile pages. They've made it very clear, very concise in their videos, and their other forms of content are very much batched into what they do, what they serve. So it's easy for me to understand within that short window of time what they do. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple of videos of brands that use an authentic presence on social media. So Shannon Gillette, also up and coming in the real estate market, really big push on marketing for herself. She has professional videos. She has videos that she has shot personally from her car. She's got a nice mixture of everything. And she has built up her profile pages in her business, very slowly over time, but it's had very large impact. So here's a video. This is an Instagram reel, and I believe that this exact specific post is very authentic to her and her brand marketing.
Show what you do for a living, then show your car.
All right, relevant, right? Short, sweet, funny. Everyone's car. Signs and food and all your listing papers, everything in between. So makes sense, relevant, authentic to her. So this is Alexis. She is in the Utah market. She very specifically, again, she is a loan officer for where she is located, and she does content that is storytelling. So that's another way to lean into making your brand authentic, using stories from your clients, using stories from yourself. In this video, and by the way, I will share this entire presentation with y'all after this. In this entire video that she does, and she scripts them to each individual, she has a whole series on this. She's talking about a young entrepreneur who is looking to rent. She converts them into buying. It's her first home purchase, and how they're going to be using that to flip it into an investment property in the next 2 years. So she has authentic content that's relatable. It's realistic. She's helped with this one individual client. I saw this video and was like, oh, I could see myself doing that, buying a home, okay, 2 years from now, investing in it, thinking long term. She's kind of adding in and planting those seeds for one, not only a client, but a long-term client, where she brings that value into the conversation as well. So you can follow her as well, Mortgage Ashley MCP. All right. So what to invest in bringing your, feed an authentic presence. So what do you need to do to make your feed authentic? What are things you need to invest in individually or as a agency or brokerage? These are my 3 recommendations. One would be a quarterly photo shoot. Seems simple, right? But something we always forget to do, something we don't prioritize, and it's incredibly helpful when you're building out your content. So for your Instagram reel covers, or for graphics, for your website, for your collateral, having good quality images that reflect you makes sense. So, and I can go into in depth about photo shoots and how to plan them, create shot lists, Pinterest boards, how to, what kind of setups do you need? But ideally, you'd capture about 30 to 40 images in that session, whether it's you individually or you and your team. And you can just use that across platform, and it all looks branded. So if someone's on your Instagram page, they go to your website, it all looks cohesive. It's the same kind of images, same kind of coloring, which a photographer will coordinate for you. My tip to quarterly photo shoots is, if you find a local photographer that you love, pitch them, I want to do a quarterly photo shoot. So 4 photo shoots for the year. Can I get a discount since I'm investing in the 4 photo shoots? I've done that everywhere I've gone, every client, and more than likely they're willing to do 10 to 20% off that entire collective package if you do a quarterly, plan out that quarterly shoot with them. A secondary would be monthly video shoots. So we'll talk about video shoots in general. We got Christian here from the actual video shooting and production side of that. I'm here more so for the content of how you can capture them. There's, blocking off time is really the most impactful way to capitalize on videos. it's hard, right? I mean, just sitting down to do them and making time for it. If you go like every day, I need to record a video today. Okay, I'm gonna sit down and do that today. And then tomorrow, Thursday, I gotta do another video. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. So I always recommend batching your time, whether it's for you personally, you have a tripod in your office and you're just gonna film, okay, I'm gonna sit down and film 10 videos. I have 2 outfits. I'm just gonna switch them out. Then I have 10 videos for the entire month. Great plan of action. Or if you want to invest in a videographer, someone local like Christian, you can batch your time with them too. Be like, okay, I have an hour with this videographer. Here's all the prompts that I'm going to do. Here's my outfits. Here's the venue. You can do it in either which way, depending on what level you are at with your video marketing needs. But capitalizing on a monthly shoot makes the most sense. And honestly, with real estate agents, depending on the content pillars and the content that you're pushing out, if it needs to be relevant for the moment, right? If we're talking about market updates and interest rates, it fluctuates every day. So you do need to be recording a little bit more consistently than just a month and batch. But there's a lot of content within that monthly that you can just pre-plan, knowing that first-time home buyer content, it's always going to be relevant. You can house that and use it evergreen throughout the rest of the month and schedule it out and not have to worry about it. So what I would personally like to do is spend 2 hours once a month, sit down in my office, get 5 different outfits, film everything at once, so that I have it all good to go. And when I'm scheduling out my content for the rest of the month, it's going out seamlessly and I don't have to worry about it on a week-to-week basis. It really lightens the load. Then a quarterly marketing brainstorm session, whether it's with yourself or whether it's with your team or whether it's with your colleagues or networking professionals. You can kind of create your own little mastermind or accountability group on that sense. But brainstorming out on a quarterly basis what kind of content you can be pushing out. So for example, we're in Q1, we have New Year. January was all about New Year. You could probably have created content surrounding New Year. Is your New Year resolution to buy a home? Is it to sell your home? What are your goals financially? Diving into different videos and or graphics, blog posts, content that relates to those categories. February, the month of love, you can dive into, maybe we talk about people that are getting married, maybe they're in the engagement stage, and how do you merge your homes? Maybe you guys have 2 rentals, maybe you have you own 2 properties, talking about a whole series on how to merge those lifestyles as they're kind of planning for that happily ever after. So thinking about each month and the blocks and those specific pillars are very important as you are kind of figuring out what authentic presence and what authentic content you're going to be pushing out to your audience base. Perfect. Now, how can you be intentional with your social media content? Pillar 2, intentionality. It's my word for the year in general. How can I be intentional in my whole entire life? But it's very important in social media as well. So what does this mean? Intentional content. So we're going to talk about content pillars. I think I've mentioned that a couple different times. So we'll dive into that in a couple slides. So content that is value driven, it's purposeful, it's not just posting just to randomly post for, it has no benefit to the consumer. And then intentional engagement with your followers and the people on your platform. So being very specific as to how you're interacting with them, what that cadence looks like, and the quality there. So first, social media content, determining what platforms to choose. That's step 1, right? Like there's a million platforms. Where do I even start? So I'll a little slide here. So you got Facebook, you got Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Reddit, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, you got Nextdoor app. I mean, there's a million places you can physically be, right? And list your services and yourself and your brand. It's a lot at once, right? And I know a lot of people are like, well, do I need to be on all of them in order to be successful? No, I recommend quality over quantity in everything. I agree with the fact that you need to be good at a couple platforms before you dive into the next one. So I would say for real estate agents, bare minimum, Facebook and Instagram. They're cross-promotional platforms. They're kind of basically the same thing. They're built to sync up with each other. Your posts can be shared both automatically to each. As far as like the demographics go, they have skewed about pretty much the same. Some people would say Facebook's a little bit higher in audience as far as age demographic, but now Instagram is pretty close within like the next 10 percentile of that range. And then TikTok, of course, is the new and up and coming platform platform, it's great. It's great if you want to publish video content, you're very comfortable with that. You're able to invest your time and energy. I will say that platform does take a lot of energy and a lot of time to curate content. Pretty much TikTok is a post every day platform. You got to post one video every single day for the algorithm to represent you and work for you and on your behalf. So if you are, curating content and video content is your jam and you're like, I can do every day. I can film 50 videos for the next month and a half. I can do that. Then TikTok's a great commitment for that platform. Again, I like to recommend we just start with Instagram. We start with Facebook. Start with those two platforms. Get very successful with those. Then you jump over to TikTok and maybe Pinterest, what have you. Instagram, as people ask me as well, how many times do I have to post a week? I don't know. I would say 3 to 4 is really the sweet spot of how many you should be posting for the algorithm. Of course, leaning into Instagram Reels is going to benefit you. It's scary, and we can talk about, what do I do? How do I do content? Do I have to dance and sing? No, you don't. There's ways you can still represent yourself authentically and get your return on investment with your potential lead form there. But yes, Instagram is built for that video content. Now Facebook is converting to video content as well. So the algorithm, the more videos you put out there, the more that they're going to push your content up to the discovery feeds and make you searchable and viewable by people who are outside of your following currently. So again, I know probably video content's a really big hot topic, so I can dive into some individual questions on that. But recommendation-wise, as far as which platforms to choose, Facebook and Instagram would be my number 2. TikTok is 3rd. Perfect. Let's talk about content pillars. This is my favorite part of my job and for social media in general. So content pillars are basically categories dedicated to you and your personal brand. You can identify them. Everybody's content pillars are going to be different. So everyone has different priorities and items that they're going to be pushing out on their platforms, their values, their missions, what's unique to you. So in general, I recommend for real estate agents, if you want to start very small and kind of build out your niche audience from there, start with 3 pillars, 3 types of content categories. Think of them as buckets, right? So 3 different buckets of content. So as you're planning out your social media content calendars, you're like, okay, I will do an educational post here. I'm going to do a property post here. I'm going to do a community post here. And then you can get specific as far as, okay, what type of content underneath that community pillar am I going to talk about? And I have some examples to discuss that. So for community pillars, I like to lean into neighborhoods, right? So as a buyer, I would be interested in like Hoover versus Chelsea. Like what are the benefits of living there versus other areas and sub-neighborhoods of Birmingham? What makes this specific neighborhood amazing? Like Signature Homes, they have very specifically built out amenities and homes and communities. Talk about that if you sell within that marketplace. You can also talk about small businesses. This is my personal favorite, and it's a great network relationship to build out your personal word of mouth network is referring other small business owners, and it can be within your marketplace. It can be business to business. It could be a coffee shop. Be like, I absolutely love Santos Coffee. I like to work here. I'll have meetings here, and they're also located near this community. You can find them across Birmingham, show them some love, cross-promote. By promoting their business and working on that relationship, they're likely to promote you as well on their platforms. So finding small business owners to work alongside with, to help build up your platforms together, very successful as far as a community block. So think about, you might have friends that own businesses that you can kind of be boistering as well on your platforms. I love the mentality of like pull each other up in this sense, right? So you're all competing in this space of digital marketing. It's somewhat kind of like the freezer section, right, of the grocery store. There's only so many spots for your, ice cream to be listed out. So how can you, be alongside your partner there to be in the forefront of everyone's minds in a non-competitive manner? And then also local market stats. I think that's what I see a lot of real estate agents do poorly is they use national marketing stats. They use the state of Alabama. If you only sell in, the greater Birmingham area, you need to focus on that. As a buyer or a seller, like I want to know Chelsea's stats on the home market listings as of January. What's the home median rates right now? What's the average selling point of a house? How many days on market? Like I want to know. It's very specific. I don't want to know, the entire state of Birmingham, because Mobile, very different listing prices, very different stats than it is Birmingham. So being very specific, very niche to your audience. If you sell only in certain specific areas, or like those are your best selling areas, focus on those on your platform, right? So if you sell in Mountain Brook, talk about Mountain Brook. Talk about them in your local neighborhoods. Talk about small businesses in Mountain Brook. Talk about the local stats in Mountain Brook. Same thing with Hoover and all these other areas, as Pelham, for example, as well. Properties, you just got to have them, right? As a real estate agent, you got to have your properties on your website or on your social media pages. There's a variety of different ways to do this. You can film, the walkthrough of the homes. That's very traditional. I'll show you a video of what that looks like. You can also, talk about, open houses. I love video testimonials. I think that not enough agents get them or do them. They don't always have to be professionally made, right? Like sitting in front of a camera. They're like in a nice little couch setting, talking about you and your business and how you help them. That's amazing. So if you can coordinate that, golden star. But it is just as easy at the closing table asking them, hey, can you just do a quick little this is why I love working with so-and-so. They really help me in XYZ ways, especially when you're asking them for like a Google review or this review. A lot of, people that are selling their homes, like it's an exciting moment for them. Like they want to share that with their friends and family on social media. So they want to be filmed. They want to be able to reshare that and say, open to my audience, wow, we just bought a home and Chelsea, we're super excited. We're very thankful for, this agent, this brokerage, this mortgage company for helping us get to, that success pillar for us. So video testimonials are great. I'd say quote testimonials are a little bit on the outs. They don't engage as well. People aren't as willing to just sit on social media and read a review. They'll probably just do that on your Google reviews or your website. So having it in video form is way more captivating. I know all of y'all will agree with that sentiment. And it also leads into the storytelling, right? So it's just an amazing way for someone to speak on your behalf in a very authentic presence and a very authentic way for them. Third would be educational content. So educational content is what I try to lean into most. And again, you need to niche down on what you're educating about. Educating just first-time home buyers, like that's a huge bucket. You can go every which way. So maybe you specifically are, at least in a month, in this specific month, focusing on female entrepreneurs who are first-time home buyers. How do you get them there? Or self-employed, individuals who are looking to buy a home. It's very specific of an audience and you can speak to them. What you want to do is create content that's going to be savable. So savable, that's the metric that I look at. I don't quite look at how many impressions, how many people are viewing my content. I want to know how many people are saving it for later. That makes way more of an impact for me. That means they've noted it. They really enjoy that content. They're saving it. They want to go back to it, whether it's that same day, that same week. If they're just liking it, they're not going to be able to find it again later. They're going to have to remember your name and go through that whole process. But if they save it, it's in a very specific book for them that they can reference. So creating video content that is educational. It can also be carousels. It can be graphics. It can be all different which ways, but you have to figure out what your individual education points are. So another example, my family is military, and so and my dad sells homes as well in Louisville, Kentucky, and so his shtick is veterans. He's very big into like the veteran community, how he can support them, how he can help them. He knows all the different ways, all the different loan applications that you can apply for, grants, things that fit into that specific very niche category. So you just need to figure out what that makes sense for you. And I know you guys all sell to anyone and everyone, right? Like you're very willing and open to do that, but specifically niching down, at least for a social presence, whether it's for a month time period, is gonna make the most sense for you in differentiating yourself from somebody else. Perfect. All right, here's some examples of a community pillar. So here she's talking about a very specific community of houses that she is willing to buy and sell in. And so she's highlighting that community specifically about how, the amenities, what makes it great. And it's also a cross-promotional opportunity as well, right? So then Signature Homes, who sells, who builds the homes there, and that's their marketing, they're able to share that as well. Reshare that on their platforms. So it increases exposure.
Paddleboard and kayak exclusive for their residents. When you live here in Club Black Ridge.
All right, next we have Property Pillar, property listing.
Today I present to you my newest listing in arguably the best neighborhood in Saratoga Springs, The Ridge. One of my favorite things about this home is the fact that it will never have anything built directly behind it, and its close proximity to the new wildflower community that will have tons of parks and walking trails and a huge man-made lake. But enough about the location, let's take a look at the inside.
Most generational wealth.
Today I present to you my newest
There you go.
resort-like community.
Most generational wealth. Always complain about this. Now you are taking that opportunity for the average Joe, for Bobby and Susie, to build generational wealth by owning 123 Banana Street, living in it 2 years, turning around and selling it, making money that they don't have to pay taxes on because they've lived in it more than 2 years as their primary residence. Once they sell 123 Banana Street, they can't afford to get into anything else. You can't. If I sold my house today,
So 3 different forms of how they've utilized that video content or just content in general to fit into those buckets. I will say a tip for the property side of how do I film my properties, right? Like that's a new need. That's definitely kind of like the priority need right now. People are looking at photos, they're great, but they're really engaged with a video of the walkthrough of the home. And we've seen that across the board. It increases open house participants and increases people that are willing to kind of reach out to you as far as a lead platform goes. Most photographers who do home property listing photography, they're willing to do videos as well. So everyone that I've asked, I'm like, hey, well, who is your property listing photographer? If they are not already doing videography in the form of reels, I bet you they'd be willing to try it out on you. And because that's a new offering that they're going to have to provide their clients in the near future. So just go ahead and ask them for that tag along. You're like, can we just try it out? Or what does that offering look like for you as far as the listing package goes for photography? They will more than likely be able to do that and film it in a 4x5 and clip it to you. I would also utilize that session as well. Normally, if they're already going to come on property, they're going to film, do the video, whether it's the drone or just throughout the house like she did. I'd also ask them hey, can we just do 3 more videos of just me, sitting on the couch at this property or sitting in a chair, standing up in front of the property. And then you're able to capture 3 more forms of video content that you might need just throughout that month, right? So that kind of fits I'm going to do half of them, or let's say the 3/4 of them I'm going to do on my own. I'm going to do my own video content. I'll shoot them, on my phone. And then let's say 1/4 of that will be the professional video content. So it really lends to a nice mix. So not all of them have to be incredibly, professionally curated. They can also kind of have that nice balance. And then if you're able to identify great, I'm going to talk about these 3 topics and these 3 little short videos, and then they'll submit that to you and send that with your, the rest of your content there while they're at that shoot. And then as far as, and we talked about community pillars, community content. Yeah, all that is great. So 3 forms of video content, and your pillars can change. The pillars can be all different types of things. I would lean into your missions and your visions and your values to help drive what content pillars you have or that you want to have. Now, branching off of content pillars, we're going to go to community engagement. This is another intentional way to utilize your social media platforms to make them effective for you. So engaging with your community, it sounds really easy, right? On a digital landscape. That means replying to your DMs, replying to your comments, posting to your story, and networking. It allows you to network virtually with the people within your marketplace, right? I carve out at least 10 to 15 minutes a day Normally it's when I get home, I'm like in front of the TV and the baby's down and I have a little time to myself. I'll go in and I'll say, oh, look, great. Someone commented back on this post or they had a question. Someone DM'd me about this listing. I'm going to go in here, respond to them. Make sure you're doing that on a daily basis. And I know that seems like a lot, but 5-10 minutes here and there depends on how frequent people are reaching out to you. I'd say there's strategy in order to guide people into your DMs and ask you questions, right? There's very strategic ways to do that and increase your engagement levels across the board, but it's another algorithm trick as well. The more you engage with the people that are engaging with you, the more seen your content is going to be on the platform. Very helpful on that end. So we have that to give to you, and it also within this top automation and apps, I talk about video editor softwares that are great on your phone that you can invest in. We talk about graphic design. If you're not a graphic designer, don't worry, there's a million things out there that can do it for you that have templates, and all you got to do is just change the text and put the images in. So we have that available in here. We also have ways to automate your video editing is kind of the biggest one, right? So putting captions on your videos, things like that are all going to be within this document as well for you to kind of look at. And then we do have a 365-day real estate specific content calendar to give to you all. So throughout the entire year, it has every single day listed out. You'll see the content pillars are distinguished at the very top. And then we also have the examples of what type of content could you be doing on that day. Some of them lean into like holidays, right? So National Homeowner Day, what kind of content you can be posting on that day or planning for on that day. And then you also have like Martin Luther King Day. So maybe we have like some content pillars surrounding that leans into you. It also has social media hashtags for very specific buckets of that month. So New Year's Day, we have National Trivia Day, things like that. You can just grab and go and put those into your captions. So we have that through the entirety of the year, and hopefully that's helpful as you sit down to plan your content. That 2-hour block a month, you're able to reference this and go, okay, great, I'm going to do a graphic here. I'm going to do a video about this because of this day that's coming up. So that gives you enough to kind of work with from a starting basis. Perfect. So now I'm going to open the floor for questions. I know you guys probably have a million questions, so I wanted to leave enough time to answer them as best I can as far as what you guys have to offer. So, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes.
So when you're creating like a reel and